You're listening to episode 176 of Super League Pod. This week we bring you news of a classic witness, the fallout of Streamgate, and we ask a wire if it'll be their year. Strap yourselves in for your podcast, the Super League Pod. Hello everyone, welcome along to episode 176 of the Super League Pod. I'm in the podcast studio kitchen again this week, and I'm joined in person by Leigh Whitnell. Welcome along to the Super League Pod. So for all those who are new to Super League Pod or don't listen regularly, I'm your Wigan fan, I'm your regular host, and joined by a guest co-host this week, and it's the first time we've had a Warrington fan on board. So tell us, Leigh, how you got into Rugby League, a bit about yourself, and then finish off with, is it your year?
Thank you for having me. Right, so I got into Rugby League the 2013 World Cup, so I'm quite a new fan, really. I grew up in South Yorkshire, was a football fan all my life, and moved to Warrington in 2009. And didn't go to any games, but wanted to. And then when the World Cup came around, I thought that was a really good opportunity for me to go to a game and see what it was all about. Yeah. And went to the New Zealand against Samoa game at the R11 Predictions.
You hooked that up,
yeah. It was a brilliant game. I didn't understand what was going on. The people were shouting for penalties and offsides, and I had no idea what was going on at the time. But it was really exciting. New Zealand took a lead, and Samoa sort of pegged them back, and it was was close for a while. And after the game, we just kind of hung around at the end as Sonny Bill Williams came over and had a chat to us, and it was I just something about that just hooked me in, and so it kind of went from there. I started to seek out content, I guess, of rugby league, and started to identify as a Warrington fan, and kind of go to games, and then became a season ticket holder, and I've been doing that for sort of a few years. Found the Super League Pod. Yeah, and you put me onto This Week in League, and I started watching the NRL, and it's kind of just it's a kind of snowball from there. And now I'm
now you're a true Rugby League fan.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Just it's taken over from I don't watch football anymore. I don't know what's going on in it, and it's kind of it's absolutely sort of number one for me. And I'm. My little boys just started doing under sevens rugby, and I've started coaching that, so I'm going through my coaching badges now. So it's really it's occupying a lot of my time now.
No, that's brilliant. So do you want to give a shout out for the club then?
It's Newton Storm, Newton Storm in Newton Le Willows. That's they're in the Northwest Counties Group B. So
are they a new thing? Have they been around for a while? I don't know the teams from around that area that have juniors and that.
They are relatively recent. They're not as established as Pilks and Blackbrook and all these. Those kind of. We're in the sort of St Helens region. We're a St Helens community club. But yeah, we've definitely not been around for as long as those guys. But it's getting stronger. It's kind of I think they're down. They say that they're like the fastest growing rugby league club, or fastest growing community rugby league club, or something like that. So they are.
That's good going. How's your lad finding it? How's he enjoying it?
He's enjoying it. We've got Player of the Week this week, which is really hard for me because one of the other coaches gave him that. He's really enjoying it. He's quite a sensitive like soul, as I was when I was his age. So I think sometimes he finds it a bit difficult taking the hits and things, but
giving them out.
Yeah, it is full contact even at under sevens in Northwest Counties. So. But he enjoys it, and that we're doing okay.
What does he fancy himself as going forward then positionally?
He doesn't have it.
Not really.
Yeah, no. There's no position. It's very much.
No, like, so he doesn't have like a player he wants to emulate and that sort of stuff.
his favourite player is Tom Burgess, but that's only because he met him once. And Tom Burgess picked him up, and he thought that was awesome. So
well, he's got under sevens. You've got a long way to go before you're going to decide on Tom Burgess, I suppose. So we'll watch how he develops.
He won't be taken after me if he does. So but yeah, so it's good. We lost at the weekend, but
that's great. Well, it's great to have. This is one of the favourite things I've found with this show is people sort of on the fringe of rugby league fandom, like either from different areas around the country or just don't have that day-to-day contact with rugby league people. That's what this show is kind of for, almost in a strange way. That's why it started. Cause me and Tom had no one else to talk to about rugby league from Monday to Thursday of the week. So it's great, and to see you go and do all that sort of stuff, and now love rugby league so much. I think it's really exciting that the game can still grip people like that when everyone says it's in crisis and in perpetual decline.
I do think there is something in, because of the way that people move around now, and we're such transient population, and people. I do meet people all the time that are not from the rugby league heartlands that go. It's right at the bottom of the Tesco's car park, our stadium. It's like people see it every time they go and do their big shop, and it's there, and people want to go to the games, but they don't because they're they don't know the rules, and they've not grown up with it, and it's
you don't need to know the rules. Most of the people in the terrace and most of the people on the pitch don't know the rules.
There's that. Yeah. But I have started taking people now, so I like take some of the people that I know that are from down south, and they wanted to go, and they don't have nobody to go with, and it's I don't know, there's a buddy system kind of thing that could be.
A lot of clubs. I think Dewsbury are doing a big push with bringing a mate, or or Super League fans can get in with a discount, or any Canadians can get in for free to their game with Toronto, and there's lots of schemes out there that people do those sorts of things, aren't there? Keep an eye out, anyone who supports clubs, because that's a good way of getting people involved, definitely. And then as soon as they go to a game and get hooked, get them on Super League Pod as well. That's the way to grow things. Okay, so enough about you. No. We're going to hear plenty from you as we go. What we're going to hear about is there's lots of re-signing news in Super League. We're going to talk about the Bradford-Workington fallout, about the live stream. I think that's going to be a dominant feature. We've got some feedback in from Alan, who was in the studio last week, about that, being a Bradford fan, kind of being a bit closer to that story. We've got 6 Super League games that throw 4 away wins this week, so going to go through those, and a full round of other results to pick up in the Championship, League One, NRL, and we've got views across all of those. In at least one game, I think, in the NRL and the League One. We've got some listener views as well, so that's really good. We're going to go through just a bit, pick up a bit of feedback and shout-outs from last week's show, and the first one really made me laugh when this came through this week, and this is from SLP legend, former legend by the sounds of it, Paul Campbell, at Paul Campbell 980. He just sent us a tweet this week, seeing one of our listen to the show, saying, I thought these stopped. So obviously he's been out of the loop since we restarted again at the end of February. So make sure you get back on board, Paul, because it's good to have you around as always. Andrew Hunt got in touch through Facebook. It's facebook.com/Super League Pod if you want to get in touch there. He said, clearest one yet, BBC standard recording. Well done.
Absolutely.
So that's the new microphone, which it's good that we're here to back that up with you with the new microphone the second week in a row, because next week we'll be back to over Skype. So I'm hoping I can do just as much justice over Skype as we're doing with the in-studio recordings. I say studio.
It is a palatial studio.
It's one of the largest studios you'll find yourself. It's probably one of the smallest kitchens you could be, but one of the largest podcast studios. It's ironic, really, how that works out. Wally Frogmore got in touch. At Wally Frogmore, if you want to get around some mostly MMA and rugby league chat and a little bit in between.
Some filth.
A lot, mostly filth, a little bit of chat and some rugby league. He's flying high, obviously, at the moment with his 2 teams riding high at the top of both leagues, North and Southern Hemisphere. Surprised I'm not hearing more from Paul, actually. He don't know what to do with himself with his success. He says, great show, gentlemen. I'm glad when the refs talk came up, you also brought up the NRL. I like how the teams who tried to bend the rules are being found out for it. Also, I think the commentators complaining about certain calls is just RL culture. It happens in the NRL too, on the Fox Sports and Channel 9 broadcasts. If that was made a rule that they were not allowed to make comment on or criticise the refs, I think the outrage wouldn't exist mostly. Yeah, I think they do talk about officials' decisions on the NRL broadcast, but what they don't do, which we do, is bring in a former referee and let him kind of preside over the discussions about the rules as if what he's saying is absolutely clear-cut certainty, and then kind of segue into talking about it for most of the game too. So, yeah, it kind of feeds into itself, doesn't it? I mean, did you have any views on kind of the way the media coverage is influencing the way fans react to referees?
In Australia?
Well, overall.
Yeah, I mean, in Australia, I think everybody seems to have got around it, really. So the fans do, anyway. I think overall, from what I've seen, anyway, I've seen a lot of the media seem to be around it as well, and it's it's better that it gets dealt with now and not
left to continue, because it was just the games were becoming less attacking. Because of the slow speed of the rucks and the dominance of defences. Now, if defences are hanging back a little bit more, in theory, allows the skill players to show off a little bit more. But of course, that's all being negated by people taking so many 2-point kicks from penalties.
But with obviously Melbourne now in the NRL are not doing very well, because they.
It is interesting, all the clubs that have been riding high on those sorts of tactics. The Sharks, the Storm, the Broncos aren't really tipping the scales this year. Obviously, when the media don't get involved, then the coaches and the club owners are going to get involved.
Well, we've had quite a few comments about the games this weekend, haven't we? I think Gwash has said...
Bernard got the cleaver out for Liam Moore.
Absolutely.
David Powell got in touch at St David 2911. He said, slightly disappointed Mark didn't have the stats to hand on the longest ever SLP. And no, I didn't last week, because I don't keep track of these sort of things. But of the episodes I still have, because there are a few fabled missing episodes from Series 1. If anyone ever downloaded all the Season 1 episodes and they could fill in the gaps for us, that'd be cool. But I'm pretty sure they were short. We kind of clocked in at around about 2.25 hours on average in the first year. This year we're up to 2 3/4 to 3 hours average. But I think that's because of all these new people coming on board. It's great to get different views, so I'm quite enjoying that extra time. It's because my travelling time's reduced this year. It's like more chatty time. But yeah, the longest ever one was the 2016 Christmas Ask SLP.
Remember it well.
Special. So that ran over just over 3.5 hours. I'm not sure what we talked about, but it was led by you guys, the listeners. So it's your fault that we were talking for that long.
I remember Tom talking about CrossFit on that one. It's some guy that was going out with his ex or something that was into CrossFit.
Tom's ex-wife, current fiance, and ex-wife are both into CrossFit in a big way. Yeah.
I remember that bit.
I'm waiting to see what sort of weird lifts they do at their wedding. Actually, Tom's ex-wife had it, her fiance. Because that's going to be interesting to see what they get up to CrossFit wise there. So that was the longest ever show. It was 3.5 hours. Last week's with the song on the end came in at 3 hours and 6.
Wow!
So that was lengthy.
Merry Christmas.
And then Alan got a tour of famous SLP locations like Tom's old flat.
Oh right, did he?
Where I work, where my dad lives, that sort of stuff. Where Cassie's mum lives. As I drove him back to his B&B and say,
did he manage to get in?
That was he had.
It was a bit.
It
worried.
was fine. I was worried. He was set. He was all over it. Then finally, we have one from Andrew Swindles at Swinno 1976. So this is a new name on me, so thanks for getting on board, Andrew, and starting to get in touch. He said, loving the Easter episode of Super League Pod. Good to hear Paul O'Brien getting a mention. That's POB 1976. I'm wondering if these two are old school friends with the same year there in the in the Twitter handles. But Paul often gets a shout out because he is Super League Pod's favourite referee.
Yeah.
Even though we like all referees, Paul is our favourite. So there you go. That's the feedback and shout outs. I think there's nothing really to roll into next week's show from those, because we're closing referee media chat down now, and we'll see what next refereeing based topic comes up for next week's show. But now, after that, we're going to move on to the news from around the world of